Live from the Winter Garden Atrium here at Brookfield Place, please welcome Sō Percussion. That was Sō Percussion playing their piece called White Light to begin this special New Sounds live program from the Winter Garden Atrium here at Brookfield Place. And joining me is Sō Percussion's Jason Treuting. Jason, you remember well the creation of that piece. It was for a panel I was doing at the White Lights Festival. And, I had asked you for something about the play of light and dark and sound and silence. So once the decision was made to start the program with this piece, how did you construct the rest of the show?
Yeah, well, it was so exciting to build a program. And so I remember going back and forth. You mentioned a little bit, it could be almost like a mixtape experience.
Right.
So we thought there's some music we're really loving playing by some of our best friends. And a lot of our friends are great composers and performers. So we built these 3 little sets that each have 3 works in them. And they'll be kind of built almost around one of our guests. We'll start with their piece. So next we'll start with a piece by Darian Thomas, move into Pauline Olivero's work, and then cap off the set with Darian playing solo. And then we'll do the same thing with Angelica, do an Angelica piece, a Pauline Olivero's piece, and then Angelica solo, and kind of built it out like that.
Right. Now, as a percussion quartet, listeners and viewers could reasonably expect to hear a lot of banging and bashing, but percussion is capable of a lot more subtlety. And Pauline Oliveros was famous during her career for doing these sonic meditations. Are the pieces you're doing of hers tonight part of that cycle of works?
They are. They both are. One actually called rolling meditation. So the idea you're doing a hand-to-hand roll on an instrument of your choice, and really kind of trying to dig into what are the different sounds you can coax out of this instrument. And I think we thought about this space, Brookfield, what music would really work in this space, and we wanted some contrasts, but this Pauline Oliveros music just felt like really natural for the space, and even natural to rehearse. We've been rehearsing on Zoom, one of them. And if at the end of Pauline Oliveros' life, she was doing a lot of listening over the internet, over the ether. And so we kind of used those to kind of be our own kind of weird sonic meditations in this time.
Wow. So we end up with a set that is both a kind of a representative mixtape, if there could be such a thing within an hour, of the broad spectrum that Sō Percussion does, but also a selection of pieces that really fit this space, which Sō Percussion has played in before.
Yeah.
Angélica Negrón has performed here before. Darian Thomas, whose work you're going to play next, I don't think he's actually played here before. He'll get a chance to do that in a few minutes.
I hope not. I hope we bring him into this space,
Tell us a little bit about this piece, though, because it's a pretty powerful work called Stephon Clark.
It's a very intense work. We met Darian at our summer festival, and it's very unlike us, actually, to be playing work by the students we work with at our summer festival, but Darian's piece just felt like it couldn't be ignored. And it's actually uses transcriptions from the cell phone footage from the killing of Stephon Clark, the murder of Stephon Clark. Some of the drumming passages we're playing are actual transcriptions of the gunshots, and there's also vocal text,
right.
transcriptions.
And Stephon Clark, the Sacramento
shooting,
black young man shot by police. They thought he had a gun. It was, in fact, a cell phone.
Yep, 20 shots.
Right. So that is the substance of this next piece. I think we're ready to hear it. Jason, thanks you very
John.
much.
They didn't have to do that.
Show me your hands.
Come on now, they didn't have to do that.
Show me your hands.
Show me your hands.
No gun.
White iPhone.
That many times.
Show me your hands.
No gun.
That many times.
You're going to know his name forever. No, God.
That many
Your
times.
hands.
Show me your hands. Come on now. They didn't have to do that. You're going to know his name
Come on now.
forever.
They didn't
That
have to do
many
that.
times. White
No gun.
iPhone, no gun.
Show
White
your hands.
iPhone, no gun.
Show me your hands.
White iPhone, no gun. Show your iPhone, no gun.
Show me your hands.
White iPhone.
Show me your hands.
Know his.
Show me your hands.
You're going to know his name forever.
White iPhone, no gun.
Show me your
Show me
hands.
your hands.
by the Sacramento Police Department. The two cops were looking for someone reportedly smashing windows and found Clark in his grandmother's yard. He resisted confrontation and ran, and the police swore he was pointing a gun at them. So they shot at him 20 times. Once closer to the dead body, they found that there was no gun, only a white iPhone. 8 bullets had been contact. The father of 2 in his grandmother's yard. At the end of the cop's body cam video, the cop suggests, "Hey, mute," just before the audio comes. Show me your hands. Gun, gun, gun!
That many times?
You're going to know his name
Come on now.
forever.
No,
Show
give
me
me
your
hands.
hands.
Do that.
Gun, gun, gun!
You're going to know his name forever.
White iPhone.
Show me your hands.
Come on now. They didn't have to do that.
That was Sō Percussion playing Rolling Meditation by the late American composer Pauline Oliveros, letting us down gently after the tension and chaos and tragedy of the previous piece by Darian Thomas called Stephon Clark. Darian, you'll be doing a solo set next, a solo piece.
Correct. Yes.
Called Darkness Runs from Light, and the title suggests perhaps a little more optimism, a little more hope in this piece.
Right. The interesting thing about it is that Darkness Runs from Light is a song that I wrote in high school, and I've been in a bit of a block with songs for the past 2 years and felt I should return to some of my older things and reorchestrate them and see if I could find something beautiful by interacting with a past self. And my past self was a bit more optimistic, but maybe in a helpful way.
Right. Well, I mean, when times are tough, if you don't have that,
Right.
it can be difficult to see the way out.
Exactly.
Now, Jason was mentioning that he and Sō Percussion played your piece after meeting you at their summer festival.
Correct.
You and I first met at the Bang on a Can Summer Music Festival up
Exactly.
in Massamoka. Summer of 2020, I'm guessing there weren't any music festivals. How did you spend your summer?
Just a lot of practicing and writing and meditating, trying to figure out. This interesting shift happened where it felt like all the institutions had temporarily crumbled. And so I had to really question who was I writing for and why was I writing. And I found that there were still these vestiges of writing for the approval of maybe people in academic positions or those who would favor new complexity over any of my tonal work, you know. So it was helpful to have a period of pause and to really inquire, why do I do this? And to decide that I'm doing it for people to listen and to connect and to understand.
And do you write for an audience of pure music lovers, or do you prefer that your music reflect the realities, the tragedies, and the promise of our daily lives?
I think both. I believe a good composer reflects what's happening in their time, responds to their context, and isn't limited to just one kind of music. So I can write Stephon Clark because it's important and critical to write it, but then I can also make something like Darkness Runs from Light, or in times of panic, I like to stay still. These pieces that are meditative and soothing spaces for the listener, because I want to be known as someone who created maybe things that were tough, but out of love, not out of pure anger.
Now, you're a violinist, a vocalist.
Right. Yes.
Electronics are a big part of the sound as well.
I love not sounding like a violin, but in this song, I'm going to basically become a string orchestra. So, yeah.
All right. I guess we're ready to hear it then.
Awesome. Thank
Darkness Runs from Light from Darian Thomas.
you. Thanks. Darkness, it runs from light. How it shines. Come now and wake up and see the world. I was up last night dreaming about a new day. I was dreaming, soaring, hoping. Wake up, see the world shrouded in light. All of us come to set things right. Wake up and see darkness run from light. Dance into the bright. I've seen the whole world reaching for the sun rays. A battle against time to show that we have light and all wrongs rectified so that we can fly. Wake up, see the world shrouded in light. All of us come to set things right. Wake up and see darkness run from light. Dance into the bright. Shrouded in light, all of us come to set things right. Wake up and see darkness run from light. Dance into the bright. Wake up and see the world shrouded in light. And all of us come to set things right. Wake up and see darkness run from light. Dance into the bright. I was dreaming. I was dreaming. I was dreaming. I was
That is Sō Percussion with a piece by Pauline Oliveros, the late American composer, called The Future of Anonymity. Sō Percussion and friends playing live in this New Sounds Live event at Brookfield Place in the Winter Garden Atrium. Preceding that work by Pauline Oliveros was Gone, a work written for Sō Percussion by the composer and multi-instrumentalist and singer Angélica Negrón, who joins me here. And Angélica, both in Gone and in your solo set, we get to hear an echo of something that you did here in the Winter Garden many years ago with the American Composers Orchestra.
Yeah, that's right. A few years ago, we instrument builder Nick Gilman, who's a collaborator of mine, we put a lot of gamelan-like instruments with automated motors on all these palm trees, and they were interacting with the orchestra in a piece that I wrote for the American Composers Orchestra titled Me He Perdido. So we're back with the robots here.
Right. Now, you've written so many different kinds of music, electronic pop for the band Balloon, chamber music, hybrid music for ensembles like Bang on a Can. What's the attraction of writing music where you don't really need humans at all? I mean, of course, you do mix both these quote-unquote robots and humans, but what is the attraction of the automaton for you?
Well, since I started writing electronic music, I feel like I've been struggling with the problem of the performance of electronic music. And I've been trying to find different ways over the past few years of making that performance more visible. It's a big reason why I use plants and vegetables and water. And same thing with the mechanical percussion. It is this kind of obsession for seeing the action behind the sound. And at the same time, also explore the possibilities of other rhythms that humans maybe can't play and other sounds. So there's that connection of like trying to humanize it, but at the same time also see how much I can push it to something that doesn't sound human, if that makes sense.
And there's a playful quality to it as well, which, this quote-unquote serious music. And if you lose that sense of fun...
For me, if I lose the sense of fun, I lose everything.
Yeah.
If I'm not having fun or playing, I think there's a lot of trying to demystify electronic music and trying to convey something that is inviting to people and something that when you look at it, you're like, oh, it's playing itself. Like this curiosity driven is something that is, for me, it's why I started making music. So I'm always trying to reconnect with that.
Well, speaking of demystifying, viewers will in a moment see you behind a laptop, which we're used to seeing now, and a potted plant with wires all over it. Demystify that for us, if you will.
It's very simple elementary school science. So I have a synthesizer called Ototo, and with anything that triggers, anything that's conductive, it can trigger a sound. So plants, because they have water in them, are great conductors of electricity. And what's happening is when I touch the leaf, I'm completing the circuit, and then it's triggering a sound that I have mapped on my computer. And that synthesizer, it's essentially a toy that kids use too. And then the other technology that I'm using when I'm playing with Sō in their set is called MIDI Sprout. And that one is more, it's a lot closer to the plant itself making music because it's two electrodes, two probes that go on top of the plant's leaves. And then it is measuring the changes in electricity in the plant and translating that into MIDI data. And then the rhythms that we hear and the gestures are all, I'm not in control of them. The plant is the player, really.
Okay. So not too dissimilar from the Japanese composer Mamoru Fujita and his pattern of plants, which takes those... People don't think of plants as being electrical, but they do. They carry electricity, as you said. So tell us a little bit about the two pieces that make up your solo set, Nubis and Transitorio.
So these two songs I wrote about 2-3 years ago, and they're both very much connected to the piece that Sō Percussion also played, to Gone. They're from around the same time, and they're about loss. 2017 was a year that Hurricane Maria passed in Puerto Rico. I was very fortunate to not lose any family or friends, but a lot of people lost lost friends. A lot of people also lost their homes. And the first song, Nubes, it's about trying to, this kind of anxiety of trying to communicate with my parents and my family. And for the first few days, we were not able to connect with anyone. So that's Nubes. And then Transitorio, it's about this kind of gut feeling that you get the day after someone you love has passed away. And I don't know if, I'm sure other people feel this too, but this, when you wake up, and sometimes happens when you're dreaming or have a nightmare, there's a few seconds of adjusting of like, okay, what day is it? Where am I? And then, and maybe you're like, oh, this is a nice day. And then a few seconds later, it kind of settles that something real, very real happened.
Yeah.
So Transitorio is about that, and which is also very much connected to Gone.
All right, let's hear a live performance here in the Winter Garden Atrium at Brookfield Place from Angélica Negrón. You're watching a special New Sounds live stream from Brookfield Place in the Winter Garden atrium. Our final piece, bringing back Jason Treuting of Sō Percussion here. Jason, this piece of yours called Go Placidly is in multiple parts, and this is kind of getting the whole band back together, Darian and Angelica joining in. How does this piece, how is it constructed so that it can admit other musicians within it?
Yeah, this is a new set of music. The full title is actually Go Placidly with Haste. I feel like the haste is important right now. And it is. It's very new music for us, and this is a new set that we're taking on tonight. So we're doing 3 pieces from Go Placidly, and this has been music that has been wonderful to bring in other artists into the mix. So we thought with Angelica here and Darian, let's bring them into 2 of these. And really, it was, hey, here are some of the tunes. How can you envision yourself coming into it? It could be instrumental or it could be more featured. So Darian will be both singing and playing violin. And I know Angelica's kind of bringing back an old song of hers and will be singing it over the last movement. So this has been really new for us. We should say that tonight it feels this is a co-composition. This is not just mine. This is really the whole band's. And we are excited to play it.
The piece is called Go Placidly with Haste, Sō Percussion, Darian Thomas, and Angelica Negron.
Please just keep smiling with the wind and the trees and the sunlight. Please don't stop laughing and touching and holding. When your smile fades away, I'm left in the dead of winter. When your light dies away, I'm left in that viewer space with only starlight to keep me warm, and only moonlight to light my path. But oh, how beautiful is the light. And oh, how beautiful is the light. And oh, how beautiful is the